daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz.
It's time!
All season long and even in the off season, it's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. And, of course, with the music in the background, we remind you, it's that time of the year to not just think about college football, not even just think about the NHL, of course. It's going into year 2 here in the state of Utah, but, of course, our original love, the Utah Jazz. And our Jazz Notes host, of course, he does a phenomenal job. Jake and Ben, of course, is where you can also find him. You can also read his byline. KSLSports.com is our Jazz insider. He is Ben Anderson in the program. Ben, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Oh, we're phenomenal. Trying to digest all the things that happened at Media Day. And I know it's kind of it's just one of those things we're so desperate to hear what on earth is going on with this franchise. We don't get to hear much from them after Summer League. And then we get to this point, we start asking all the questions. And obviously the ones that started to percolate to the top are extension for Walker Kessler, what Ace Bailey's going to be looking like. But I'm interested in some of these veterans that the Jazz acquired in the offseason and are going to be kind of populating this locker room for this young core. It's the youth of this team, but some of these, what intrigues you about some of these veterans that they brought in and some of the names that you're going to see in this locker room for the Jazz that are the older, trying to lead you around the league variety?
Well, I think, George Niang is a name that's familiar to fans, but it will be different. When he was here last, he was still kind of a young guy. He was older because he had played 4 years of college before he came out, but he was still trying to, really prove he belonged in the NBA. And it was funny, earlier today, I was looking at his salaries, and he's going into his 10th season, which is remarkable, but he's, only in quotations here, he's only made $29 million. In today's NBA, Ace Bailey will make that much money before the end of his first contract. But $29 million.
Kuminga just got $29 a year for the next 2 years today. So there you go.
Right, exactly right. So it's like, while he's definitely a veteran, one of those older names, the last time we saw him, he was still trying to prove he belonged in the NBA. And even the contract he signed after he left the Jazz was not a big deal. It was not until this latest one, where he's making about $8 million a year, did he really start to kind of establish himself with money that will support him for the rest of his life. So I thought that was kind of interesting that he will be playing a different role than the last time we saw him. And we'll have to see how he kind of functions in that role because, in Philly, in Cleveland, the spots he's been in, Atlanta late last year, he was very much just a supporting 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th guy, and he kind of has to change his role. So I'll be curious how he handles that. That'll probably be a little bit newer for him. And then Kevin Love, we talked to today at practice, and he's just a remarkable person. He's just, he's been in the league long enough. I think this is his 18th season now, he said, where he just has he has the ability to go back and look at his own career and kind of diagnose it historically. And he was talking about how poorly he kind of managed himself. And I don't mean just physically. I mean emotionally, from a preparedness standpoint, as a teammate early in his career in Minnesota. And it wasn't until he got to Cleveland, when there were some other veterans around, and there was an expectation to win games with LeBron James, that he started to figure out, this is what you get to do to be a pro. And now it seems like he's got a really good sense of, I owe it to this younger generation to impart on them the knowledge I have from the mistakes I made. And that's up to them to listen, but he certainly seems interested in doing it. It's not Joe Flacco with the Cleveland Browns saying, hey, man, I'm not here to mentor anybody. I'm here to win football games. I do think Kevin Love really is going to accept the role of – he'll be on the floor, but he also wants to make sure that these guys are in a better spot than where he found them.
Walker Kessler had a chance to answer questions about his contract extension situation for the first time since news came out that him and the Jazz were unlikely to come to an agreement before the deadline. And I think we all can relate that we work for an employer and we think we do a great job and we go to ask for a raise and the employer says, "Oh, sorry, we don't have money for you." That's got to be really frustrating. So I think we all relate to Walker's frustration. But how much of a concern is this should be to Jazz fans, for Walker's future here with the Jazz? Do you believe eventually this is going to get resolved, or is this something that could become a negative force?
I don't think it'll get resolved until next summer, unless the Jazz start to feel like, hey, this is gonna be bad for everybody. Right now, the Jazz have the leverage point, and again, just a quick kind of backstory on why the Jazz didn't sign him this summer. If they wait until next year when he becomes a restricted free agent so they can match any contract out there, A, they have an additional $14 million because there's a thing called a cap hold, which is kind of expected money you're supposed to make, and he will make well beyond that. But it's just the NBA limits how much money you can spend in free agency when you have a restricted free agent already on your team. They kind of pencil in a number of how much they're expected to earn, and it dictates how much other freedom you have next summer. By not signing him, the Jazz are going to have an extra $14 million next summer. So from a team-building standpoint, it's really a no-brainer what the Jazz are doing. And honestly, it's the right move, unless Walker were to agree to a really small deal, which doesn't make sense for Walker. And the Jazz may have been willing to sacrifice some of that, $14 million in extra space that they can use before signing Walker, had he wanted to take a steep discount. But I'm sure him making his first contract, remember he was the 22nd pick, so he also has not been making $9 million a year like some guys who were drafted in the top 5 or 6. He's been making $2 million a year. So in that sense, I'm sure Walker wanted to feel long-term security and felt like he had earned it. At the same time, it's a no-brainer for the Jazz not to sign him. But if we do start to get to this point where Walker checks out, which I thought he did in his second year with the Jazz and wasn't playing as hard as he needed to be a good player that he can be, and we saw that in year 1 and year 3, and it feels like the Jazz could lose him emotionally, I guess maybe there's a chance they could try and get a deal done, but I don't expect them to. And then it falls on Walker to prove that, hey, I recognize that I didn't get paid this summer. It's not like he would have gotten this money this season anyways. It wasn't going to kick in until next year. So he's got to handle that. He's got to show that emotionally he can tackle that. And that's going to be a challenge for him because he did not handle year 2 particularly well at all. And he can't afford to do that both literally and figuratively. If he does that, he's not going to get paid the money he thinks he's worth right now. And the Jazz will start to question whether or not he's a guy they want to build around if, every other season there's an emotional letdown that doesn't allow him to play at a high level. So if he plays well, he'll get paid, and I think that needs to be his number one focus. But I'm with you, JJ. Everyone's felt like they've earned it and felt like, hey, when am I going to get my recognition? And Walker doesn't feel like they're giving it to him.
They're trying really hard, it feels like, to make sure that people aren't trying to already call for the Rookie of the Year honors for Ace Bailey right out of the gate. It just is. It's an interesting thing. I don't know if it was you or Jake that asked the question to Will Hardy about basically the usage of Ace Bailey, which I don't know if there was actually an answer to. Did you feel like that was an answered question during that media back and forth? Because I'm not sure if we landed on anything.
It was, Jake, and I think it was a little bit vague. And Will did say, yes, I have plans for him. I don't think he laid it out immediately, and some of that may just be we're not telling Ace yet exactly what the schedule is going to be, because you don't want him to put the cart before the horse. And they had kind of said, let's focus on defense for the first 6 weeks. Let's see if we can get you to buy into what your role is, what we're expecting of you. And then once you get that down, we will start putting more on your plate offensively beyond catch and shoot the ball or catch and pass the ball. I don't think they're putting a lot of playmaking or decision-making in his hands right now on the offensive side. So I do think that is there, and I think you're absolutely right, Alex. They are not trying to – or they are trying to limit some of those expectations for him. I honestly think they're doing some of it for themselves, because one of the things I did kind of continuously get yesterday from a lot of people on, off the record, talking to people, in the front office or coaching staff or whatever, I should just say non-players, that they're like legitimately excited that he's on their team. And Will Hardy did say in that interview, they had to try and hide how excited they were on draft night about what had happened, because I don't think they expected to get that caliber of player at 5 after the disaster that was lottery night. So I think they were really thrilled about it. I do think they also like Walt Clayton a lot, and they are trying to slow the roll a little bit of how quickly this could get away from them. But honestly, Ace, I thought, was terrific yesterday. He was by far the standout player. His energy is really incredible and unique, and not like anything I remember from a Jazz player, especially one in a starring role. There are goofy side characters and silly guys, and you get the Kirilla Fisenkos who become fan favorites because they're just kind of silly. Ace is silly. He's 19. He's certainly fun-loving. He's rambunctious, but it feels very authentic, and it feels like the type of thing that if the play starts to live up to the expectations on the floor, you've just got the makings of like a true main character, which is what teams are trying to find every year in the draft.
The Jazz also have an all-star caliber player in Larry Markkinen still on the roster, who's in the prime of his career, but having to forge ahead with this rebuild, which has caused everybody in the league to think, oh, he's going to get traded at some point. I mean, it just feels, Ben, you cover this. It's like every other day there's some national writer talking about there's another rumor about Lowry Markkanen getting traded, yet the Jazz maintain that they're not shopping him. How does this situation play out? What's your vibe? What's your feel on it? And did you learn anything yesterday about what's going on with Lowry and his future with the Jazz?
The Jazz were a little bit non-committal. I mean, I don't want to say non-committal. They certainly said, we like Lowry. We expect him to be a part of our next good teams. Like, we're really happy he's here, and they were happy to pay him. That's kind of been the consistent theme. I do still get the impression that if the right deal comes along, they will listen, and absolutely they should listen. When they were listening a couple of years ago with Golden State and before they got Lowry signed to the contract, I do think that the market was open. So if the right deal comes along, especially if someone like, Ace Bailey starts to break out and you realize, okay, this is what this is going to look like. This is the type of player he's going to be. And actually the more beneficial thing the Jazz can have is $40 million next year, the year after that, and the year after that, to start to formulate a roster around Ace and what that is going to look like versus hoping that, Lowry fits into the context of Ace Bailey, if that ends up being the player. Because we know this is probably another 25-win team, meaning they're getting another top 6-7 player next year in the draft. And ideally, it's one of the top 3 guys, but this is supposed to be a much better draft than it has been the last few years. And even the Jazz look like they got a pretty good player at number 5 this year. So in that sense, I still don't know when we're realistically looking at the rubber meeting the road for the Jazz 3 years from now or 2 years from now, if they start going out and spending some money on free agents with guys who fit the true stars in the young core. If it's safe to bet that, of course, Lowry would fit that. Lowry is a pretty good fit among most players in the NBA. But when you're talking about, he's a pretty good fit, it's hard to justify spending $40 million on that guy. So I think the Jazz recognize that if the right deal comes along, they feel it's advantageous, they feel like it's going to match their timeline better, I still think they would listen, though I don't think they're hurting to get Lowry off the roster by any stretch.
Ben, what do you think that when you start to look at what a roster could really look like, what do you think an opening night roster would be for this Jazz team? I mean, this is really early, but I mean, if we're to just guess, you see the names that are out there, and the people that are going to be wondering who is or is not mentioned, in that starting 5 or maybe at the beginning of the season. But what should Jazz fans anticipate maybe that they roll out in the first game? And I know they're going to mix up the lineups quite a bit this year.
I think there's 2 locks, and obviously that's Walker Kessler, who's the best 5 on the team by a lot, and Lowry Markkanen, who's the star of the roster. I think Ace is going to start too. I think if you're serious about developing him, if you're serious about losing 65 games last year to, put together or potentially get a star of the future, Ace has to be in that conversation. So I think that's 3 of the spots, which leaves probably at least one of the guard spots, and I guess you could go to 2 guard spots if you wanted to start, a point guard and a shooting guard, or you could slide Ace to the 2, and that would open up somebody you could play at kind of the 3-4 spot. And the nice thing about Lowry is you can play him at either forward position. So my kind of line all summer has been, I think Keontae George is going to be the starting point guard. And I know that was not what he was doing fully last year, but I think until Walt Clayton is able to take that job over, and I do think that's what the future holds for the Jazz. And I know it's really early. We haven't seen him in a preseason game yet. That's kind of just always been my projection on him. Until he's ready to take over, I think Keontae probably checks the most boxes as far as scoring, playmaking, veteran understanding of what's being asked of him. And then I actually kind of think Kyle Filipowski might jump into that 4 spot, and you might start Lowry at the 3, Kyle at the 4, Walker at the 5, because if Kyle can shoot well enough, he's a good passer, so he kind of ties some things together in the front court. You've got great size then across the board. Keontae's not a huge point guard, but he's not tiny. Ace, if he's playing the 2, is really an enormous player. Lowry at the 3, Flip at the 4, Walker at the 5. You kind of get a sense of the Jazz might be able to put pressure on people. They might be able to have a couple of strengths on the floor at a time as opposed to just toying with lineups here and there. But if they don't go as Flip, I could see Bryce Sensabaugh maybe starting at the 2 along with, a Keontae George and giving him a bigger role because of what he does as a 4 spacer.
Keontae George is interesting. 3rd year now, still very young, but a veteran, as you say, because of the experience he has. It feels like he's trying to show, at least in the offseason, it felt like he's trying to show he's more mature and he's taking on a leadership role. What have you seen from him, and what do the Jazz want from him now that he's entering year 3?
Yeah, and I will just say, to paint some background, like since June, I've been being told, like, this has been a big summer for Keontae. Like, stuff has changed. Something has changed. He's really started to figure it out. Now, talk is really cheap. It's easy to say that. And nothing I heard yesterday contradicted that. Everyone continues to say that Keontae's been, the best young player out of the summer and the MVP, and there's high expectations for him. It will, in a lot of ways, come down to, are you still shooting 39% from the floor and 34% from three? Because if you are, you're not good enough. It's just not good enough to support the rest of the players around you and punish opposing defenses for what they do and don't do to you. And that's where I think Walt Clayton, as a more developed shooter and older player coming out of Florida, has a chance to win that job maybe midway through the season. But he does seem to be the name that everyone is circling. And you guys have seen him for 2 years. At his best, he's pretty special. He can shoot off the dribble. He can get where he wants to on the floor. He can attack the paint. He can go off for huge scoring outings, huge scoring quarters. He's pretty explosive. Those things are valuable if they're consistent, and they just can't be as inconsistent as they are for Keontae. So if he can lace some of those together and really kind of understand how that fits in a team role, I thought it was impressive. I wrote an article about it yesterday, just kind of his whole shift in recognition of a lot of guys from his draft class have been traded or are out of the NBA already, especially guys who were like truly his peers, other one and done guards for his draft class that were in the conversation probably at 15 or at 16 for the Jazz when they drafted him. I think he's looking at the NBA landscape and realizing this does not wait for you. And if I don't change, it will move past me and I won't be in the league anymore. And I think that scares him a little bit. And you wonder if that fear and gain perspective will allow him to channel what's best about Keontae George, which is a very talented basketball player.
Ben Anderson, before we get you out, Ben, I wanted your thoughts on, this is kind of the first real time that Austin Ainge was the face there. I think that, and it was his time. Danny was somewhere else. You bring in Ryan Smith, he makes some comments, but it's Austin Ainge's show, in terms of asking or answering those tough questions. How do you think that ad has been so far in his first kind of real go as an administrator, kind of the front facing guy at these at this media day?
I'm not sure he was. I don't want to say not dynamic. I don't want to know I don't think he was a force necessarily. And that would make sense. This is the first time doing it. When Danny Ainge came in, and I kind of felt like the time we felt Danny Ainge plant his flag was when Quinn Snyder was resigning, and Danny was kind of like, this is my team, and he was moving it forward. And I thought it was a really fascinating, shift in power. I'm not sure I saw that yet from Austin Ainge, and that's totally understandable, and I need to get to know his personality more. I've only talked to him a handful of times, so maybe that he's just a little bit understated. I do think the work he did this summer was pretty impressive. I thought certainly what they did on draft night was certainly more 4D chess than a lot of teams are able to play, and he actually pulled it off, which is hard to do. A lot of guys talk it and back it up by making mistakes. So far, and we will see, I don't think the Jazz have made a lot of mistakes this summer under Austin Ainge's watch. So I will be curious how that goes. I also don't think he's going out there to try and be the face of the team and the face of the franchise the way some guys do. And that can be a positive. If the front office member wants to be a star or the owner wants to be a star, that can really detract from the rest of the team. So I think best case scenario would be he lets his work speak on the floor. And if he's good, we will be able to tell pretty quickly. If not, you hope he's not too timid to be able to do the job.
Ben, we appreciate your time, man. As always, best in the market. You guys do a phenomenal job being able to cover this Jazz team, not just as the home of the Jazz here, obviously, on our station, but you and Chandler doing the Jazz Notes podcast, and then Jake and Ben, of course, every day on this very station. Ben, thanks for being with us, man. We'll chat with you again through the season.
Thanks, guys. Good to talk to you.
Thanks,
there you go.
Ben.
Ben Anderson. Hey, isn't it good to have a guy like him in your...
That was great. Really enjoyed that.
Well, on top of it, it's just... It's... I just so... Actually, I walk away from something like that and go, I don't feel like, daunted by what's going to happen with this team this year. Does that make sense? Like, I don't feel as...
Accept what it is and what it's going to be.
Yes.
And then focus on how is Keontae George going to develop. We get to see Ace Bailey. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is this kid really going to become a superstar? You get to watch that process unfold. The drama with Walker Kessler in that situation. Can he overcome his frustration with his contract to go out there and play at an elite level like he did last year? What happens with Lowry Markkinen? There's storylines here. There's a lot of interesting things, and ultimately, they can take this group, which is pretty eclectic with old and young, put a lineup out there and be entertaining. Doesn't mean they're going to win a lot of games,
Right.
but be entertaining. There's been times in the last couple of years where they were both not competitive and not watchable. I don't think that's going to be the case this year.
Yeah, and then when you start to add up all the names that are on this list, too, and we didn't even talk one word about Isaiah Collier. What's he going to bring to the table?
Bryce Sensabaugh had an incredible summer league.
Right, and
Kyle Filipowski.
Like he brought it up, maybe even ends up being a starter,
There's a
even day
long
one.
list of dudes on this team, young and old, that are interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm
curious to
fans,
see how it all comes together.
Jazz fans, don't hate on life as much as you think you're going to as a Jazz fan this year. Just enjoy it for what it is, okay? Watch the process.
You just dropped the process.
And we'll see you at the Delta Center. Don't bring your signs.
Not allowed.
Can't bring your signs in anymore. Sorry, Napolis, you said something to me. I don't know what you said. Ah, yes. This portion of the show is always brought to you by the good folks at Trajan Wealth. TRAJAN Wealth.com. That's Trajan Wealth for all your trusted local needs in retirement. All of our beginning of the hours at 3 and 5 are brought to you by the good folks at Trajan Wealth. All right, we'll take the break. We'll come back. We've got our NFL Blitz next. We'll describe for you in great detail, if you weren't able to see it, the Tyreek Hill injury. So come right back. More to go. 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You know what that music means. Of course, it is our NFL Blitz. Thanks for being with us on the show. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. Let me see here. First of all, I told you, I remember to be full disclosure. We had 2 Monday Night Football games on last night, and we had 2 massive, giant, terrible dumpster fire games for me. I mean, on paper, the Dolphins and the Jets was going to be bad anyway.
Yeah.
And it was.
Oh, it lived up to the hype.
And then if you're a Miami Dolphins fan and you go, man, it's going to be a rough one. Hey, you got Tyreek, though. Well.
Not anymore.
Can you recover from being the fastest man in the world to your leg being on backwards last night, like Tyreek Hill had? So it's all torn up, right?
It's an ACL,
ACL, and then I saw a thing that said, and also other ligaments. I'm like, they probably didn't want to get into
it. It didn't look like an ACL. It looked like a broken leg.
Well, it was I know, that's what I thought.
Going the wrong direction.
So then they said, yeah, it's a
I was shocked when they said ACL.
Right, and they said dislocated knee. At that point, I thought, okay, so it's a dislocated knee. So then I thought, well, there's no way that the ligaments are going to be intact here. If it's a dislocated knee, it turns backward. Everything's torn. Everything's stretched out. Yeah. Everything's bad. And yes, when I saw that people were trying to post it on social media, I was like, everyone sucks. I do not want to see one bit of this. I mean, the Joe Theismann, remember when we were growing up and it was almost like, dude.
Oh, I saw that live when I was a kid.
You're like, hey, let's go watch the Joe Theismann video.
That was insane.
And it was grainy and it was grainy. It was like far away and it was still absolutely terrible. Now we have Tyreek Hill's leg backwards in 4K.
Right.
And I'm over it. I do not want to see one daggum thing. A couple years ago, remember when Dak Prescott did the same thing, broke his leg 90 degrees? They blurred it out on TV, and I was like, good. But then they were like, because they blurred it out, they're all, we'll show it 78,000 times.
Yeah.
In a row and in slow motion, but we're blurring it out, and you're like, okay, move on. You know what I mean? So Tyreek Hill's out. This Dolphins team is in a bad way. I know they beat the Jets last night, which actually is a bigger problem for the Jets.
Who's in a worse way? The Jets or the Dolphins?
No, the Jets are. I mean,
there's no doubt.
They have to play each other again at some point. They'll go up to New York, and you know what's going to happen? The Jets will win that one by 6 points, just like what was it, 27-21 last night after it was all said and done. And Justin Fields is not a great quarterback. He can run the ball, and he looks exciting, but he can't freaking throw it. So, yeah, it's a bad deal. Hey, but your Broncos got a win last night.
They look good. My Broncos,
Here it comes. Fine.
All right.
My Broncos. I want to hear more. Your guy, Sean Payton.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
They lost 2 games in a row at the buzzer. They literally didn't trail in the fourth quarter. They should have been 3-0, but they didn't finish the damn games. They finally finished last night, and I don't care. The Bengals were bungled.
Oh, boy.
By Burrow being out.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of teams that need to make a trade for quarterback, because the other dude ain't it.
Former Washington Husky Jake Browning? Is that you're talking about?
He
Come
ain't
on.
it. He's not an NFL quarterback. I'm sorry. He is not an NFL quarterback. Go get Kirk Cousins. Do something. But
who else is available? Is Jimmy Garoppolo out there? No?
Sometimes you just need like a get-back win, and they put 28 points on the board last night. I'm satisfied with it. Bo Nix got going. The interception in the end zone wasn't great, but he ran for one. He threw for a couple more. The run game was good. They ran the ball really well. I think it's been a while since they had a 100-yard rusher, and J.K. Dobbins got there last night, right? So there's a lot to like about what the Broncos did last night. I get it. The Bengals are a mess right now, but Broncos won a game 28-3. I'll take it. Yeah, Dobbins, 101 yards.
I wonder what the total offense was for the Bengals last night. Not good, right?
I'll tell you right now.
Not good.
It was... they only had 43 plays. 159.
Yeah, that's...
The Broncos had 512 yards of total offense. The Bengals, 159. You have Jamar Chase on your roster.
Well, you saw Jamar Chase go over to Zach Taylor after, right? Or not after, it was during the game, and people caught the interaction. It wasn't on, like, live TV, like, right on the main thing, but people were able to kind of locate it, and he went over to Zach Taylor and was like, "Get me the blanket ball, dog." And it wasn't, and Zach's trying to be like, "Okay, I got you."
Or go get me another quarterback, dog.
All right, I got you. Go ahead and sit down. This doesn't look good. Come on, you're not Travis Kelce. I'm not Andy Reid. We're not going to bump bellies and start yelling at each other. Please just go sit down. You're making this worse, Jamar. So
Jamar had 5 catches for 23 yards. He averaged. This is Jamar Chase averaging 4.6 yards per catch. You got to get a quarterback that can get the ball downfield.
Yeah,
the Bengals need to seriously consider a deal, and they won't because their owners are tight.
Hey, who's your backup over at the Rams? Is it Stetson Bennett?
It's Jimmy G.
Oh yeah,
and Stetson Bennett. Yeah, they're both.
See, no, that's what I'm saying. Garoppolo's the new backup because he signed up Jimmy G.
Stetson Bennett has the best job in the NFL.
That guy.
He's cashing checks. He'll never see the field.
Oh my heavens, wild, right?
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner, by the way, one of the best cover corners in the league, but tells the media, "I'm getting picked on by the referees because we're a losing team." You're a losing team because you're getting kind of beat, and even the great Sauce Gardner can't cover. Like, how many? It's just a math problem. Like, at some point, you can't maintain that level all game long. By the way, how about Darren Waller coming back after?
Good story. Yeah.
The last time he was active was like in January of 24.
Yeah.
Or 23 even? No, it was 24.
He didn't play last year at all. Remember, he retired.
Right. So he retires from football the season prior, doesn't do the whole 2024 season, comes back and catches 2 touchdowns last night. 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. And by the way, they were like phenomenal. Like his back of the end zone tiptoe situation, you're going, that guy hasn't been playing the game for like 18 months? Wild. So good for them. I hope he works it out. I hope he can figure it out. I hope he stays in this organization. Let me see here. Well, that's probably it. That's probably good. There's so many other things.
That's a missed opportunity if we don't talk about the Browns quarterback
Dang
situation.
I'm so used to forgetting about Cleveland altogether. Shedeur Sanders is going to get the start. Oh, wait. Looks like Dylan Gabriel is going to get the start for the Cleveland Browns coming up on Sunday. They didn't like Joe Flacco? Come on, what's going on?
I think Joe deserves a little longer look. I mean,
this is a desperate franchise, my guy. And what they're doing is here too.
it's disrespectful to Joe
They're
Flacco.
getting Joe Flacco is a please pull me, man. I'm out. And I bet they're gonna get to Dylan Gabriel, have him poop the bed as soon as possible so that they can get to Shedeur Sanders so that they can say we played him. I don't think he's it either. They have no answer there. And when you have your third string quarterback in the locker room doing media interviews at the end of on Sunday when he's like, "Put me in, man.
That's pretty weird, right?
I'm better than these clowns in this league." I mean, he's saying basically the guys in front of him. And why are we interviewing the third string quarterback in the freaking locker room anyway?
That is weird.
Get out of here. So, anyway. All right. We'll take a break. There you go. There's your Cleveland quarterback update. We're going to give you one every day. No. But I will. Boy, I'm going to be staring at those stats on Sunday.
Dylan Gabriel becomes the latest starting quarterback at Cleveland. The list grows.
Oh, yeah. You got to get the guy with the jersey
Put it on the
patches.
jersey.
Come on.
It's like number 412 in the last 20
It'd be
years.
so good if they have 3 starting quarterbacks in the first 5 weeks of the season.
The
first
most
10 weeks of the
Cleveland
season.
Browns thing ever.
Then they have to sign like a Tyler Huntley again, bring him back again, have him start again. Come on. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got our best and worst next. Stay here. 97.5 BKSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 BKSL Sports Zone. Best and worst brought to you by Doug Smith Dealerships in American Fork, Spanish Fork, and in Linden. Nobody knows cars like Doug. When you think of Tom Petty, that's a classic song.
1989.
It's barely in the 80s. There you go. But I can't help it. Okay, so MTV, there were some music videos that stuck with you forever. And the one that always stuck with me was it wasn't Free Fallin'. Don't Come Around Here No More. Do you remember this? Not even one of their better songs.
Okay.
But the video was the whole Alice in Wonderland thing.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I was just absolutely affected by when they made her into a full cake and cut into the cake. And I was and fat kid me was like, I want some of that cake.
I had no idea where you were going with that.
It was supposed to be creeping you out.
Now I get it.
And I was like, that blue frosting looks pretty dang good.
Jeez.
I knew I had a problem even back then. When
it's people. The cake is made of people.
It was supposed to look like a torture scene. Yeah, something out of Soylent Green, and I'm all, I bet that's a marble cake.
I want that.
What is that? Buttercream frosting? All right. Let me see here. I do have some audio for you to listen to, and that's Coach Prime. Now they got so today I got the email. I'm sure you got the same one. We get the emails officially from the conference, and it was like, hey, Colorado reprimanded, and they get a $50,000 fine. And then at his press conference today, Coach Prime was like, I know they probably don't want me talking about this, but I'm going to talk about it. And he wanted to address it because I think that he wanted to make sure people knows this is not something that comes from our department. This was just some wild fans on Saturday, but here's what he had to say about the apology to BYU and the $50,000 fine for the anti-Mormon chant that was at the baseball game, I'm watching baseball, the football game on Saturday in Boulder.
Let me mention this, and Rick might not want me to mention. I know it was an incident at the conclusion of the game or whatsoever. On behalf of CU, on behalf of our athletic department, we would like to apologize to our opponents from a week ago for whatever derogatory statements were made by our fans. That's not indicative of who we are. Our student body, our kids are phenomenal. So don't indict us just based on a group of young kids that probably was intoxicated and high simultaneously. Maybe I shouldn't have said that as well. But the truth will make you free. But BYU, we love you, we appreciate you, and we support you.
Coach Prime, man, with another big one. Hey, look, BYU, sorry about all that. We have a student body that's really great, but that group, probably drunk and probably high. Both.
You can really depend on Coach Prime
Okay.
for a sincere apology.
Does he? If he mentions depends at every press conference, does he get another boost? Like, whoop.
I'm sure.
He did it again this week. So there you go. And then the worst is if you thought about making that sign that says, Walker Kessler, we love you, and taking it into the Delta Center, holding it up for your 10-year-old holds it up and
This
maybe
is
gets seen
our
on the
Jazz.
camera.
This is our team. We love them.
Forget about it. Leave your signs at home. A new policy on signs and posters inside Delta Center is going to make sure that you do not have either one of those things ever going forward for Jazz games, Mammoth games, concert and events, unless they otherwise specify it. I mean, they say, hey, look, this is one of those events you can bring a sign to. Can't bring a sign inside Delta Center anymore. They don't want to have to try to review all the signs and go, is this something the kids are talking about these days? I don't know. Is it inappropriate? I don't know. What does 6'7" mean? I'm not sure.
6'7".
We'll take a break there. It's a great time to end the hour, right? Come on. We'll come back. We got more to go, so stay right here with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Is there anything about Folsom, about this stadium that surprised you, that you didn't expect?
Yeah. The smell of weed in the second quarter, it surprised the heck out of me. Like every game, I'm like, dang, like it seems like it's like a light up quarter. You know what I'm saying? Like, so is this the quarter that y'all chose? Like, I'm serious, it's a TV timeout, it never fails, and I'm like, wow, what's going on? Because I've never been high a day in my life, so that's kind of new to me.
That's a Boulder essential, I guess.
Truly.